This is gonna make you salivate. It's crispy, spicy, porky, bready. Yeah. It's a lightly spiced, crispy pork roll. Welcome back to Wok Wednesdays. I am Jeremy from School of Wok here in Covent Garden, London's Asian cookery school. Today is all about what my son calls piggy pig burgers. It's a pork chop burger, or pork, it's actually shoulder steaks that I'm using because I quite like the marbling in the shoulder steaks. And it just is so quick and easy. I'm gonna do everything in one pan. Here we go. Shoulder steaks are great because you've got these little bits of marbling in, but it's not overly fatty. And the first thing you wanna do is bash them. So just with the underside of my cleaver, hold it tight because you don't wanna let go of it. Give it a good bash. And what that'll do is it will tenderize the meat, but also kind of opens it up, thins it out a bit, so that it kind of sits really well in the bun with a little bit kind of peeking out, so you can kind of get your teeth into the bit of meat before you get to the bun. If you haven't seen this done before, it kind of reminds me of the streets of Hong Kong. So walking down the streets and you might have these different street food stands, and some of them do either this or like a deep fried, just pork chop and rice. And their prep time is in the mornings. In the evenings, they do all the cooking, but they have to prepare everything first. And when they're preparing this sort of dish, they'll do it en masse, you know, big mixing bowls full of their bashed pork chops. And they'll just be going one after another, sort of hundreds of pork chops at a time. It's quite a sight. Now this is where I'm going a little bit off piece, because in Hong Kong or Macau, they wouldn't marinate their pork like this, but it is a really easy recipe that just works, not just with pork, but anything. And for some reason, my kids, even if they say they don't like prawns or X, Y, or Z, if I put this Oriental curry powder into my marinades, they suddenly just love it. And this Oriental curry powder is a funny ingredient because it literally has almost every single spice you could possibly imagine in a powder form. The way I see it, it kind of works with any sort of salty and savory flavor. So we've got some light soy sauce to go with that. And take this as a sort of a marinade version of a katsu curry sauce. So I've got some sake, a little pinch of sugar to balance out the saltiness from the light soy, and then I'm going to give that a good mix with some sesame oil as well. Now, even with what seems to be quite a lot of liquid, if you massage that well, you shouldn't end up with any liquid at the bottom of your bowl. And that's because you've sort of bashed the pork and it's made those rivets, and it sort of helps to soak up all that flavor. Just gonna add a little bit of cornflour. And that will just help to create a nice sort of crisp edge around the pork. Now this is quick, easy cooking, you know, the type of thing that whether you've got kids or not, it's sort of so Moorish yet so simple. My son, he loves cheese in his piggy pig burger, so I quite like to sort of grate some Parmesan and almost make a Parmesan crisp base for my buns before I do anything else. I'd go quite generous on the cheese. So I've got this lovely sort of Parmesan crisp. Look at that. And this is, yeah, naughty, but nice. So once your oil's nice and hot in this one pan wonder, just lay your pork chops in. And remember the cornflour in there will give it that lovely crisp edge that you want. And it's shallow fried, so you do need enough oil in the pan to cook this nicely. When it's done in Hong Kong, Macau, in the sort of cafes or Hong Kong diners, I call them, they usually have a big sort of almost brat pan where they're shallow frying these big chunks of pork so that every part of the edge of pork gets a nice crisp finish. Pretty high heat here. From the bashing, it has thinned it out a little, so it only takes sort of 3 to 5 minutes on each side maximum on a high heat. So that high heat with that shallow fry will crisp up any marbling of fat almost immediately. And with that little pinch of sugar in the marinade, it just sort of helps to create that slightly caramelized crunch around the pork as well. And this is simple cooking, but I'm telling you, pretty addictive. The thing about pork and cooking pork at home, or anywhere you're cooking it, so you just don't want to overcook it. So, as I say, 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the thickness of your pork shoulder. It is all about the texture. You want a bite, but you still want it to be nice and juicy and succulent inside. I'm just going to sit it and let it rest for 2-3 minutes before I pop it into the bun. It doesn't need sauce. That's how the kids like it too, no sauce, because the crunch of that crisp, that Parmesan crisp, along with the succulence of the pork, is just awesome. If you like this recipe, you want to learn more, not just crazy recipes like this, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ding, hit that notification bell, and keep eating.